is that going? Okay, my name's April Molnick. I teach 4th grade at CRI. I started using Flocabulary a couple years ago when they had just kind of started becoming a thing, and before we had our subscription to it and everything. So just kind of started dabbling in it. I have been to a training with one of their peeps before, just to learn a little bit more about it. And she's the one actually that gave me the idea to like start looking at mashups. So I started doing that and kind of went from there. I forgot to do something. Can you all hear the bird in the background? Is it super annoying? Okay, I can go move him. I meant to do that and I just forgot. So just tell me if you're like done with bird tweeting, whatever that's called. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen and go ahead and show you some of the things that I've come up with and the ways I've used it. And if you have other ideas, like I would love to hear them. So just let me know. I'm trying to have this on my iPad too. So if you comment, I can see it there, even if I don't catch it over here. So let me go, y'all. As soon as it catches up. So the first, and this one actually is something that I was hoping, okay, I really don't like that. Sorry, I'm just gonna mess around. I'm trying to figure this out. This one I was hoping, or when I met with one of their reps last year, she told me actually this was in the works and they were hoping to have it fixed pretty soon, but they still don't. So on Lyric Lab, which if you use Lyric Lab very often, that's where the kids get to go in and they get to create their own little rap or their own version of the Flocabulary video using some of the vocabulary from what you've assigned to them. So the problem is within Flocabulary right now, you cannot record that. They can write the lyrics and they get to choose their beat, but then they don't have a way to share that, which is kind of a bummer. So I have my kids use Flocabulary now. What they do is usually they're doing it with a partner, and even if they choose to do it on their own, they will write the lyrics down. But if they're with a partner, they just put one person's Chromebook behind the one they're recording on, and the one kind of behind it or off to the side has the lyrics up, and that's the one playing the music. Or I'm just remembering, we did discover that you can use it all on one Chromebook and you just switch tabs, and kind of like on here, even if you switch tabs, it's still recording you through Flipgrid. So you can do it either way. My kids, lots of them, if they can use 2 devices, they like that better so they can still see themselves, but you can flip back and forth. I have a couple examples here of some that my kids made last year. So I'm gonna show these to you real quick. So that's an example of one where she was using the camera as she switched tabs. So it looks like she's looking down the whole time. And also she didn't have her music up very loud, and so you couldn't hear the music in there, but that didn't seem to bother her. So here's another one. Maybe. Okay, that one might not work for some reason right now. Okay, oh, there it is. Okay, that's enough. It gives you the idea. Let's see, what was I going to say about that? I just had a thought I was going to say and I lost it. So if they're working with a partner, as you can see, it's better if they practice it a lot. Some of them, once they do it with a partner and realize it's kind of hard, they start choosing to do it on their own. What I was going to say, those were both videos that were just from the vocabulary lessons, which I use a lot in between, like if there's not really anything good or if I'm not using it with any of my content stuff, they have some awesome vocabulary lessons. Also with those vocabulary lessons, if you haven't used them much before, if you have SPED students or students that are just a lot lower grade level wise, you can go in and assign them vocabulary lessons on a different grade level, which is awesome. And I've used that a lot. So the next one is through Quizlet. With Quizlet, you can either add words. I'm going to switch so I can show you. You can add words into your Quizlet that you're going to use, and you can either do it with the definition that it pops up for you, or you can type in your own definition. If I'm typing in my own definition, honestly, lots of times, well, if I choose to do it that way, I copy and paste the definition straight out of Flocabulary. However, if it's something that you're really working on and you want your kids the mastery of it, what I will do is I'll go and I will choose the definition from Quizlet just because it shows their higher understanding. If they really get it, then even if it's not in the exact same words, they can still see, but they still know what that word is. Let's see, something else I was going to say. And then if you're not familiar with Quizlet, there's lots of different options in there of ways that they can play. So here's one that I did. This one was actually a vocabulary on text features. And so Quizlet, honestly, I learned about from my oldest daughter when she went to junior high. They use this a lot for flashcards when they're, in different classes getting ready for quizzes. And so that's kind of the most basic thing, and they can just go through and practice them. It tells them, and then I'm trying to see where down here it'll show you, like here's each word, like what the word is, the explanation, and then there's also an image. And again, they have stock photos that you can choose from, or you can put your own in. Everything I've ever done has already been in there, which is awesome. Again, I don't want to spend tons of time on here if you guys are familiar with Quizlet already, but these things, these first few things are things they can do on their own. The test is like a little quiz they can take, but then there are activities down here that they can play, and some of them you can do individually, they can do by themselves. Some they can do, you can put up and you guys can do as a class. I'm trying to think. Yeah, the matching gravity is individually, but then the flashcards, here they are, the class ones. See, it's been 5 months since we've been in school, and so trying to remember all these has been a little bit of a challenge for me. So playing Quizlet Live. On that, I know last year GimKit became super popular, which a lot of us started using. Fantastic, like it's terrific. I will say, depending on the age of your kids, going back and forth between GimKit and Quizlet Live is very tricky for kids. My fourth graders, if we were going back to Quizlet Live, I would have to really remind them, because for that, you're in teams of 3. And all 3 of you sit together with your devices, and it gives you the question, and everybody has 2 or 3 answer choices on their screen, but only one of you has actually the correct choice. And so they have to talk about it together and decide who has the right choice. If everybody's just trying to click an answer on their screen, trying to be fast, like in GimKit, then they're going to get it wrong, and their team keeps getting set back some. So if you're not familiar with that, you might want to look at it. Oh. Allison, can you hear me when I'm talking?
Yeah, I just couldn't hear the videos you played. I did have a question though.
Yeah.
With, not Quizlet, but quizzes. Have you checked?
Yes.
Okay. So that could work with Flocabulary too, right?
Yes. I have it as one of them also that I'm going to talk about. Yep.
Oh, sorry. I was scrolling through and I didn't see it, and I was just confused if that. Okay. So we were talking about using vocabulary words from Flocab to put into these other platforms, right?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any way to put your own in some things that Flocabulary offers? Is there any way to load your own words? I don't think so.
In Flocabulary, you mean?
Yeah, because then they'd have to make everything around those words, but
there's not. You could, if there's other words on that topic that you wanted to, that they've gotten out of the Flocabulary, you could use those words in the mashup things.
Okay.
So, but there's not a way to edit the things in Flocabulary.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. I will say, So last summer maybe, Nearpod actually bought Flocabulary, if you don't know that. So when they did that, that's when I actually met with the rep, and they are super into wanting to hear from teachers and wanting to know what we want. So that's a suggestion you could totally send in to them. And they actually, every time I've sent anything, they always respond right away. So that's an idea to maybe just send it to them and, kind of mention it, see if they have any plans for doing that. So that's everything in Quizlet. Those are the ideas that I have from there. The next one I have is GimKit. So I'm assuming most of you have used GimKit. If you haven't, that's totally fine. I guess I'm just going to go with it. If you guys know this, please send me a comment. It's hard. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to take your time, but I want to share stuff. So with GimKit, our building bought a subscription last year. So we have full access, the pro account. If you don't, you have a basic account. However, if you used it last year, the basic accounts have changed. There's really good news, and then there's some bummer news to it. The really good news, before on the basic account, you were limited to 5 GimKits that you could put in. 5 kits is what they call them. And then after that, if you wanted to do another one, you couldn't. Even if you deleted it, you still couldn't do another one. If you wanted to make it your own, you could go search and find somebody else's and use. You wouldn't have reports and stuff, but you could do that. Well, now you can have as many kits in there as you want, but you're limited to having only 5 kids in it. So you wouldn't be able to use GimKit whole class if you don't have the pro subscription. You could do it in small groups, but not with your whole class. I will also say, if you use GimKit some and you're loving it, like, it is to me an invaluable tool. Last year, I was actually going to purchase the pro on my own when I found out that I had already put the order in to buy it. And then they said, actually hold off because Dr. Gray's buying it for us. So if you're interested, if you use it some, for me, I used it a ton and everything, and my kids love it. They're super motivated by it. So you may want to go in and look at it. So on GimKit, I have, again, most of the ones I have right here are the ones from vocab weeks. So you create your own, you go in and put your own in. This, again, is something I pull straight from Flocabulary. I literally go and put the word in and copy and paste the definition into GimKit. Sometimes I will use straight definitions. Sometimes I'll use like these fill in the blank ones that came from the vocab game. Different things like, I mix it up. I don't just use the definitions, I guess is what I'm saying. I will use different activities from Flocabulary to put in here to GimKit. So that's how I use it in GimKit. And again, my kids, at least my kids last year, absolutely loved GimKit. So they were super motivated by it, and they were thrilled anytime we got to play it. With those, the other thing that was awesome about them is that they wanted to play it all the time. So, weeks later, if we had a transition time, because you can set your time, how long you want them to play on GimKit. If we had 5 minutes, I would pull GimKit up, and lots of times I would pull something that we had done before just to keep it fresh in their minds, even though we've moved way on past it. And we would do those then. So any questions about GimKit or thoughts? I see. Okay. Oh, you just used GimKit during closure. I will say this. If you've used GimKit in the past, we can definitely use it on AMI days. I used it a lot while we were gone. The kids can't see the screen, which is a bummer because that's how they're seeing as a class, how they're earning money. GimKit got really cool over the summer, and they have embedded video in it, but it's all through Zoom, which we're not allowed to use. So I was excited at first and then found out they did it through Zoom. So it still doesn't really help us, but the kids still had fun doing it. So anyway, that's just a little tidbit for you, side note. So, okay, the next one, using BrainPop. So this one, I don't know how many of you have used the extended features in BrainPop before, but there are some really awesome ones. So Tracy Goins has been teaching a class on this for a couple years now. So I've used these for quite a few years, but I just actually over our, forever spring break last year, got the idea to mash it with BrainPop. or with Flocabulary. So I actually haven't done this yet, but I'm going to this year. So if it's a content area, a content video you're doing in Flocabulary, you can go to BrainPop and find that same content and have them kind of simultaneously or whatever. Oh, of course I am. Sorry. So you can go in and have them do that, and they can watch that video also. So I had, oh, see, I was in Tracy's class earlier and it switched me. I just pulled one up on gravity. So if I was going to, if I had done a Flocabulary on gravity and I had spent some time on it, or honestly, I may even introduce it with BrainPop, either way wouldn't matter. But if this is my topic right now, after we have worked on this for a while, I will say I use this as an assessment tool. I would not suggest doing this in the middle of it, what I'm going to show you. But has anybody used Make a Movie before in BrainPop? No. One time. Okay, so it's awesome. Like, it is super cool. And I wish I would have pulled up some of my kids' Make a Movies from last year. But they go in after they've watched a video and they're very familiar with content. Like I said, in science last year, we used this as an assessment tool a couple times, and the kids are excited about it. You get to know exactly how much they know, and it kind of checks off all the boxes. So they go here to Make a Movie, which you can just show them how to get to this, or you can assign it to them within BrainPop. They would go to Make a Movie, and then they are actually going to create their own BrainPop movie with Moby and Tim and any other peeps they want to put into it or different characters. So I suggest having them write their own letter, write a new one. If there's, I mean, you could have looked at it ahead of time. They'll give some, like, these are questions that came directly from the BrainPop video, but usually I find that I want to do it do my own letter, because if I'm using it as an assessment tool, I usually have a couple different questions I want them to answer in it. So when you're making your movie, this to us may seem a little bit overwhelming, but honestly, I show my kids the very basics, what I'm going to show you now, and then I let them free, and they absolutely love this. So if you're going to have them write their own letter, you actually, once you start it, it takes you, for whatever reason, to tile 2. So you need to go backwards up here to tile 1 so that you'll actually write your letter. And usually what I do, like I said, I usually have an expectation. So I have already written the letter that I want them to use. I've put it on the board or up on the smart board or something so that they know they're just going to type right into that. But they get to choose their background that they want. And then they have to add in all the things that they do are over here on the side. Oh, there it is. So then it takes them to this slide, and they can write it to themselves in Moby, or they can write it just to Moby. I usually let them choose. This is an area I don't really care about. And then they put their question in and they do a friend. Or they can choose who they sent it from. Then after you do that, it'll ask you to save if you've actually typed something in there. It'll show up here, and then they can add a sound. And when they add a sound, they can use the computer voice, or they can record their own voice reading the letter, just like they do in the videos on BrainPop. So then from there, they're ready to start their slides. You may, depending on your age that you're working with, I have found it's most helpful if I tell my kids how many slides I expect it to be and exactly what I want on each slide, especially if I'm using it as an assessment tool. If it's just kind of the first time we get in here to do it, I kind of let them explore it however they want. So they get to do whatever they want here. All of your tools are over here on the left side. It does save automatically every minute or so, I don't remember, which is awesome. So they don't have to worry about that. Okay, I'm rewinding myself. I think to make sure that their work saves if they don't finish it in one day, and so that they turn it into you, you do need to assign it to them, not just have them go search for it. So you will need to assign it to them. And if you don't know how to do that, I would be happy to show you how to do that later. The school has purchased this for us, so all the kids have their logins already and everything. So they can add their background that they want to go into it. They can usually, okay, yeah, here it is. You can go in and you can search for a background. Like if I want it to take place in the forest, then I can find a forest background, and now that can be what I put in here instead. So they can look, it's going to give you the basic ones. When you're adding, when you're going to build, these are the pictures that showed up in the video about gravity, but they can go in if they're wanting to find just the right Moby, they go in and just look for Moby, and then all the different Mobies will show up. The ones with the little arrows, he actually does something. He moves somehow. Then again, they can go in and they can record themselves like telling the story, or if they have typed on here, which I'll show you how to do, then they can use the use computer voice. But if they didn't type on there, then they have to record their own voice. To annotate or to type something on there, if they want it to be a thought bubble or something, they just have to pull it over here. This they do have to mess with a little bit, because then after they have that, then when they click text goes here, it just pulls it over. And they have to kind of, I haven't found a super easy way to do this. They just kind of have to play with it to figure out how to get it to the size they want it to be and all of that rigmarole. So anyway, they can just draw straight on it if they want to make if they're not finding what they want, they can do that. Anyway, so again, this is an awesome tool. I really don't know why I never thought of it before, but for my content stuff, if I can tie it to a Flocabulary and a Brain Pop, I just think that makes the connection even stronger for the kids. So that's one that I'm going to try this year. So quizzes, Allison, this is what you were talking about, and I have done it on here. Let me find my, okay, maybe I didn't. I thought I had made one. Maybe I never did though, actually. I really thought I had, but this only has math. So at any rate, yes, you could very easily go in and I started this earlier. You could do the very same thing like we talked about in Gimkit or Quizlet, same type of deal. You could use just definitions and words. You could use the quiz questions at the end if you wanted to you do your quiz that way, or ask the questions a little different way to make it a review before they go take the quiz. However you wanted to do that. But again, it's just another super easy, if you've never used quizzes before, I'm not really great about finding something new and diving in and learning it on my own, but this is one that some of my friends in my hallway kept talking about, and we just never had time to go over it together. So I just got on and tried it myself. And I'm sure most of you have probably already done it before, but it's super easy. Like this is one that you can go in and you can figure this out pretty easily by yourself. Again, you can assign these to the kids. You can do it together, play live, or you can assign them as homework. Oh, there's something I was gonna go back and tell you. Assigning it as homework, I did that a lot over, when we didn't come back to school, because they can do it on their own. And then also another time Alice and I do it is during intervention, because they can go, you can set how many times they have a chance to do it if they just do it once, or you can let them try it as many times as they want just to have that extra practice. But you get a report and you can see every time they did it and how they did on it.
Yeah, I've only ever played it live. I did a lot of quizzes and Gimkit during the closure, but I've never assigned it as homework. If you assign it as homework and let's say it's an AMI day, can they just do that at their own pace whenever they want?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They'll do it they'll do it whenever you want, whenever they want, and you can set it to if you want them just to be able to do it one time, or if they get 3 tries or unlimited tries, but you'll get a report on how they did each time they tried it. So another update going back to Gimkit, you can assign Gimkits as homework now also. That they just did that over the summer. Yes, so you can do that. And when they finish the Gimkit, because then they're not rushing against somebody, they get to see at the end though, you know how we get the box that kind of shows things at the end, they get that box on their own screen that says how many they got right, how many, like a ratio of how many they answered correctly, and then they get to clap for themselves, the thing that drives us crazy and I always turn off. They can sit there and clap for themselves all day long if they want to. So that's just an added thing that was part of their summer update. So when you go, if you've used Gimkit before, you know how the news always shows up on the side. So I found out, well, they've been emailing me, but I don't read those. So, but I just read through those real quick on the sidebar. And I think those were their only updates over the summer. But there may have been something I'm missing. Okay. Another big one is Smart Suite, and I don't know how much you've used it. if you haven't used it at all, this is the new version of Smart Notebook. If you've been in the district very long, we used to just have Smart Notebook that we used on the old smart boards. Yes, that's what they're called. And now Smart Notebook is the digital version. So I think everybody now will have the TVs because everybody else is getting them this year, I think, maybe. So this is the new version of that. When you first go in, to be honest, the first year we had our TVs, I didn't hardly use Smart Suite at all because it overwhelmed me. But honestly, it's really not that bad once you get into it. Kim Good and Logan Teeters did a session on this the past 2 days, and I know they recorded their session. So if you've never used it before, that would be a great one to go back and look at just to get the basics of how to use Smart Notebook or Smart Suite. Rats. See, I was in their session a minute ago, and now I'm rats. I'm in there as her. I'm in there as her in her class. Sorry. So now I have to get back to mine. So this one, Smart Suite can be a lot like Google Slides, like fancy Google Slides. It can be also a little bit like Nearpod in the fact that you can control, like you can pace the kids and their screen will only go to the next activity if you tell it to, or you can let them do it on their own. So they can have a game that they play just the one game. So the bummer about this is I can't really show you much on my screen because it doesn't look like anything, but there's lots of different games you can create. This one is just one game that I did. So it's just, this was on, I don't even remember. Oh, it was one of our PBIS lessons. That's why we did that one. Our grade level started creating a lot of these. So after we had did it, this was just like a little quiz asking them questions. And so you can, like I said, you can walk through it and you guys can do it as a whole class. Or if it's just one game, I'm usually letting my kids play that however they would want. This one is a math review we did, and this one has lots of different lessons under it. So I don't know. That one's hard. I toyed back and forth on whether or not to even put that in here because it's so, I'm not a Smart Suite teacher. I don't know it that well yet. It takes me a long time still to create things if I get in there. But it's just another area you can explore with that. There's a lot of really cool things, lots of different games and different activities you can put in there for them. Some that are better to do by themselves, some that are better to do as a whole class. There's even one that's a game show. And so it's them and a partner and you spin the wheel and it goes around the wheel and then they answer the question on the wheel. The kids really like them, but there are tons and tons of options in there. Yeah, Allison, were you gonna say something? Okay, sorry. I thought you were like going up to unmute yourself. So anyway, Smart Suite, it is really great, but I don't have time to show you all the stuff in there. But just another good place to look if you are wanting other places to use your Flocabulary stuff. So then other mashup ideas, I am not a huge Nearpod user. I actually haven't used it at all, but of course, I'm gonna tell you that they're great to put together because Nearpod now owns Flocabulary. So they say it's fabulous to put together. So there you go. If you're a Nearpod user, I'm sure your wheels are already turning about how you could incorporate it in there. Quizzes, I actually ended up putting that up there. Kahoot, again, sometimes I think some of us got away from Kahoot when GimKit got out, but got to kick it back every once in a while and give the kids something new and different to look at. So Kahoot's a great way to do it. If you're using Kahoot, I will tell you, I finally started going and looking and search. If you're using like the vocabulary or even any content, search in Kahoot, and a ton of them are already made. So you have to kind of get specific with it, but like put Flocabulary gravity in there and you will very likely find one that somebody along the way has already created. So there are a lot of them, even the vocab words, like I said, I do those a lot. And like the vocab lessons in Flocabulary are labeled by color. So I would say Flocabulary, vocab, or orange vocab week 3. And I mean, I was blown away with how often there would already be one created in there. So you might have to play around with how you word it when you're searching in Kahoot, but there's a ton in there already. What else did I say? Yeah, I am not, again, I don't use that one at all, but if you are, then, or if you have used it, I'm sure there's great ways to use, to put that in there. So those are the ones I've come up with. If you guys, like I said, if you have other ideas or thoughts or ways you could use it, I would love for you to share those also. If you have questions, I'm happy to help. It's kind of, this is one of the times where it's kind of hard to, to do all that here because we're not just sitting in a room chatting. So if you have questions, I am happy to answer them for you. If not, that's all I got for you.
Your sign-in sheet, April?
Yeah. Is it not working?
Well, no, not for me.
Okay, hang on, let me go. That's weird.
Hold on. 1 second.
Nobody has signed into it yet, so let me copy the link again and go add it back in.
And it's asking us to request access.
Yeah, when I copy and paste.
Oh, okay. Yep, sorry about that. Why is it saying to request access? Sorry, you know what? I'll sign you guys in. I see who's here. I'm going to take a picture of you. I'll just sign you in. That way you don't have to wait for this. Smile, yay! Okay.
Okay.
Thank you guys very much. I know it was long. Last session, yay. Enjoy your week.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.